Hi everybody, this is Suzie Malone and welcome to Cooking in Red Bottoms Quarantine Dinner Challenge. Tonight I'm actually making one of my favorite dishes. This one is great because it's going to last you a couple of nights. It's my spaghetti and meatballs. The best thing about this is that if you're vegan or vegetarian, you can substitute it for this new impossible meat that's around right now, and apparently it tastes very, very similar, if exactly the same. So if you want to make it a little lighter, you can use a turkey ground meat or you can make chicken ground meat. It's up to you. So grab yourselves a glass of wine and let's get to cooking. Okay, so let's start off with the ingredients. I've got my little Red Bottoms apron on today because we're going on rockabilly. Okay, so we're going to start off with the ingredients with the meat first. Now, if you don't want to use beef, I am using 2 pounds of beef today. You can use 2 pounds of chicken, ground chicken, 2 pounds of turkey, or you can use the new impossible beef. That's supposed to be amazing as well. It will work. So whatever your preference is for meat, go for it. 2 pounds of whatever you choose. We're going to have 1 pound of diced tomatoes, 8 ounces of a tomato sauce. We're going to have 8 cloves of garlic, just mince it up, salt, pepper, Italian breadcrumbs. They gotta be Italian breadcrumbs. It's gonna be so good for your meatballs. 2 eggs, and then our spices. Now here's the thing, I usually like to use a fresh parsley, but with quarantine it's been a little bit hard. So we're gonna go with dried oregano, dried parsley, and dried basil. And last but not least, now this is just my personal preference because you know I like things a little bit spicy. I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of red chili flakes into my meatballs. And the very last ingredient is onion. Now, I discovered this great hack. I was reading online and everybody hates cutting up onions, especially me with the fumes. I'm always tearing up. The best thing to do is to cut it in half and stick it in the freezer for 10 minutes. When you bring it out, chop it up, no fumes. It's like the best hack ever, like really. Okay, so ready? Let's get started with these amazing meatballs. Okay, you guys, we have to have our traditional glass of wine before we start, so cheers to you guys. I'm always drinking a Sauvignon Blanc, by the way, if you're curious. Anything from New Zealand, you know I'm just loving that. Okay, so let's get to business. Now, this is also a recipe that it's better if you cook it over time, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. So we're going to start off with our 2 pounds of meat, whichever you prefer. We've already been through that. We don't need to go through that again. Okay, so into that, we're going to crack 2 eggs, 1 egg per pound, I like to do. So 1, 2, boom, straight into the mix. Don't worry about beating it first, I'll show you why. Okay, from there, now the Italian breadcrumbs. I would go with 1 1/4 cup of Italian breadcrumbs. Just plunk it straight in. There we go. Garlic, pop your garlic straight on top. In it goes. Just make sure that's all in. Garlic is really good these days, especially if you want to stay well. Too much garlic is a great thing, I always say. Okay, so now our cracked pepper. Just put it into taste. I want to give that top a really good coating. There we go. And a pinch of salt, or a nice good, let's say 2 pinches of salt. There we go. I promise you no anchovies this time. Okay, let's put in our basil. Now I would put in about 2 tablespoons of basil. There we go, it's about 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of oregano. In it goes. 2 tablespoons of parsley. Now what's good about this recipe too is that you're going to put the same herbs into the sauce. Oh yes, we're making a sauce. Last but not least, if you want to skip this step, you absolutely can. I'm popping it in because you know I like it nice and spicy. I've got my red chili flakes. All right, and that leaves just one last thing. My onion that's been sitting in the freezer, and yep, I can smell it straight away and I'm not crying at all. So we're gonna chop that up and then add that into the mix. Okay, so you can see I am completely dry-eyed. I've got no fumes from this onion whatsoever. It's just the best hack. You must try it. So I'm going to put this onion straight into the mix for the meatballs like so. All right, and then that's going to be the end of this cutting board for me. Put that away. Now I use half an onion, but that's just because my husband doesn't particularly like a lot of onion, but if you want to use a full onion, you absolutely can. Now, next, everybody should have a pair of these right now because everybody should be walking around in gloves right now. So I suggest getting them to mix up your meatballs. So pop them on. Okay, grab yourself another plate, because once we've mixed it up, we're going to roll up the meatballs and pop them straight onto this particular plate. So right now, it's time to get dirty. So let's have one glass of wine, one sip of wine. All right, now I'm ready to get dirty now. Okay, so here we go. So what we're gonna do is just mix this all up together. You can see this. It's one of those things that's oh so satisfying. Satisfying to watch and it's satisfying to do. So there we go. Make sure you get all those ingredients in. Mix up those breadcrumbs. Get it all in there. Get it in there. Get it in there. Okay. So that's why you don't have to beat your egg, because it's always just going to get mashed up in here. And as I said before, this actually takes quite a while to do. Quite a while to cook. I'm going to do this in my slow cooker. If you have a Dutch oven, you can do it in that as well with the sauce and everything, and let it cook slowly for 6 to 8 hours. You're going to notice the difference. It just tastes so damn good at the end. All right, so as you can see, this is pretty much mixed up pretty well. So what we're going to do is bring our plate over, and it's time to make our meatballs. My earrings are just going. They're doing their own thing today. Okay, so it's up to you how big you want to make your meatballs. I like to make them just a nice little, about that size. If you want to go bigger, you can. It doesn't matter. It's gonna cook all the way through anyway, because we're slow cooking it for 6 to 8 hours, depending on what you're gonna cook it on. So what I'm gonna do is right now, I'm just gonna roll up this my entire little thing of meatballs. And I'll come back and I'll see you in a minute for the next step. Meatballs are all finished here. I've made mine a small medium. You can make them a little larger if you want. That's up to you. Look how great they look. This is going to be amazing into our sauce, which is our next step. All right, so we've come this far. Toast to that. Cheers. And now it's time for the sauce. Every Italian will tell you that the secret is in the sauce, and it is so true. Now, I was bought my crock pot as a gift. I had never used it before, and now it's like my favorite thing ever to cook with, because anything that is slow cooked is just so much better. You can just taste the flavors because it's got so much time for all the flavors to come together, and it's just amazing. And what I actually like to do is cook this the night before, and you have it the next day. It's wunderbar. Okay, so here we go. If you have a Dutch oven, use a Dutch oven on your stove, and you're gonna put it on a low setting for about 6 hours. So here we go with our sauce. All right, so as I said before, we're gonna use 1 pound of just diced, sliced tomatoes. Just pop it straight in. And this is another thing why I love using a crock pot, is you can just put everything in and just let it cook and walk away, and it's done. Come back 6 hours later. Oh, it's amazing, especially if you leave the house and come back in, the aromas are just wonderful. Okay, get yourself an 8-ounce can of just tomato sauce, just plunk it straight in. All right, there we go. Now it's time for garlic. So in the beginning I told you you needed 8 cloves of garlic. This is your last 4. You did 4 for the meatballs, and we're gonna go 4 for the sauce. Just plonk it straight in there. The more garlic, the better, I say. Okay, from there, salt, a good pinch of salt. And now as this is cooking later on, if you want to add more salt to it, you can, but don't put too much in to start with, because it's better to not have enough than to have too much. Get your black pepper. Get in there. Give the top a good coat. Once again, this is to taste. Okay. Parsley from before, I would put in another 2 tablespoons of parsley. Get it all in there. I would prefer to use fresh once again, but we're on quarantine, so we're quarantining, we're just doing what we can right now, right? Basil, same thing. 2 tablespoons of basil, 2 tablespoons of oregano. Okay, and last but not least with the sauce, we're actually going to put in some bay leaf. Okay, so just a nice little sprinkle of bay leaf. That would be equivalent to 1 bay leaf. If you have just the actual leaf in its entirety, you can do that. Let's mix this all together. And this is just so super simple, this recipe. It really is. And you're going to taste the reward at the end of it. Okay, so that's all in there, all mixed up. So now we're going to add our meatballs. And now it's time for our meatballs. So we're going to pop them straight into the crock pot or the Dutch oven, whichever it is. You don't need to pre-brown these in the skillet beforehand. Just pop them straight into your sauce, and over the 6 to 8 hours, depending on how long you want it to go in there, it's going to cook, and all the juices from the meats, whichever you've chosen, are going to go into the sauce. Now the only thing is I did read up on the Impossible beef, because there's no natural oils in it, you won't get anything seeping through into the sauce, and it's the same, I believe, if you cook it on a skillet beforehand. So you will taste a little bit of a difference, but hey, if you're vegan or vegetarian, it doesn't matter. So pop all these in, and then we're going to turn it on and taste that fantastic goodness after 6 hours. So there you go, you can see all the meatballs are now inside with the sauce, and this is going to slow cook. You know what, I'm going to put it on for 8 hours. Cook it on a low heat if it's a crock pot for about 8 hours, and if you're doing it on a Dutch oven, put it on a low heat for between 6 to 8. You're going to have to sort of lift the lid a couple of times and just sort of see how it's going till it's cooked through. So let's pop it on. Mine's already done for 8 hours, and I'll see you in 8 hours. Cheers to that. Hopefully I won't be too sloshed by then with my glasses of wine, so I'll see you guys soon. Greetings from 7 hours later. Cheers to that. Are you ready to see the magic of the meatballs? All right, let's open it up and see how it goes. It's been smelling amazing this whole time. Wow, look at that. Can you see? It's all bubbling and the sauce is all gone through the meatballs and everything. It just smells absolutely delicious. So this is hour 7. So what I'm going to do is pop the lid back on, and we're going to boil our water for our pasta. Now, as I said before, you can use any kind of pasta that you like, edamame, you can use chickpea, whatever you prefer, or you can just use a spaghetti or fettuccine, whatever you want to do is totally up to you. So let's get our water boiling. Here we are, we're going to turn it up onto a high boil. Don't forget to salt your water. There we go, because we like nice salty water for your pasta. We're going to wait for that to boil, throw our spaghetti or whatever you want to cook in there, and we'll see you to serve. Okay, so our timer has gone off, 11 minutes has passed. My pasta is cooked, so we're ready to serve. So grab yourself a nice serving bowl. Like so. And remember what I said on my last cooking show is you don't want to drain your pasta because the pasta water adds to the sauce. So grab yourself a little spaghetti spoon and just take it straight out of the pot. That's the best thing. Take it straight out. It's going to be a little bit of liquid. But you know what? You're going to get a little bit more. So grab your serving spoon and just pour it over the top of the pasta, like so. Okay, and now it's time for the meatballs. Look at these meatballs. They're so amazing. Okay, So let's get these meatballs right on top. As many as you see fit. Usually if I'm serving guests, I would serve between 3 to 4 meatballs depending on the size. And don't forget to put some of that glorious sauce all the way over the top. Look at that, that is just amazing. And to finish it off, we're just going to add a pinch of shaved Parmesan. So there you go, my spaghetti and meatballs. As I said, if you guys want to use a meat alternative, go for it. It's still going to be amazing. If you want to use a pasta alternative, go for it. It's also still going to be amazing. And cheers, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'm enjoying all the comments that you guys are giving and leaving on every social media that I'm leaving. So I'm going to be cooking for you guys even better now. So I'll see you guys soon. Bon appetit.